What's up everybody, welcome back. Time for another video. Today we are pulling the rest of the Evo apart. It is the 3rd of January today. Yesterday I had a bit of a migraine, so I didn't get as much done as I would have liked, but I did chuck some of these through the media blaster. Now I do need to do a little bit more work on them. Some of them are still a little bit dirty, but for the most part everything's come up really well. All of the bolts and washers, they almost look new again. Of course, need to zinc coat them because now they're not protected. And for comparison, you can see there, that's an old crusty arm compared to the nice clean arms. So the next thing for these will be, once they're clean, I'm going to chuck them in the bearing press over there and get rid of all of these bushings and ball joints. Now I will take my time with that because the rear arms are all alloy. You can crack them when you're trying to press the bushes and things out, so I'm going to have to be super careful there. So besides doing that yesterday, the only other thing that I did do was I got a water trap there for the sandblasting unit, just so that no moisture goes into the media. And the other thing I bought was the water blaster here. So I bought that because I plan on cleaning the underside of the car once I've pulled everything out, and also I'm going to go through and clean all of this stuff before I put it in the media blaster. One other thing I did actually is I have so far disassembled one of the knuckles. So there we have the shield for the rear disc. There is the hub, which is in good condition, and there is the knuckle. So that's all apart. I've still got the other one to pull apart. Once I've done that, I'll give it all a bit of a degrease and put it in the media blast to clean it up. And this here, I'm going to powder coat. So I haven't decided yet. I think I'm going to buy a powder coater and just in a little oven and powder coat myself, just because the cost of a powder coater and doing it myself is cheaper than getting someone else to do it, and then I'll always have the stuff. So that sounds like a good idea to me. Anyway, time to start pulling the Evo apart. First of all, I'm going to put the front up on jack stands. I didn't have any good jack stands for the front, so I just bought some yesterday. They are sitting over there. So I'll unbox those, chuck those under the front of the car, and then start pulling the exhaust off to get the diff and all the rest of the stuff in the rear end out. Those were the other jack stands I have there. And as you can see, those jack stands look a little dodgy. So I'm going to chuck the car up on the jack stands, and then I will show you the underside of the car. The drive shaft's got a bit of a knock in it, so I wanted to record that and show people. I'm actually not sure what it is. It could be universals a shot, which means a new drive shaft. I don't think you can replace universals in the Evo. So anyway, I'll jack it up and then we can have a look from there. So we have now pulled the exhaust off, but something, I guess it's quite alarming. So we found some moisture in the exhaust here, and I'm not entirely sure what it is. I think it's just water. Doesn't really have a smell, and it's super thin. It's not oily, so I'm hoping it's just a bit of water. I checked in the cat, but the cat seems dry, so I'm not entirely sure what's going on there. Alright, so we are underneath the car at the moment, and that direction is the front of the car. That sleeve you can kind of see, there's the end of the transfer case, and that is the first universal joint. So if I give this drive shaft a bit of a wiggle, you can hear that clunking noise. So I've done a bit of investigating, and it actually doesn't seem like it's the joint, it's something else. I am swapping this transfer case out because it's whining, so it could be related to that, but I'm probably not going to know until I pull the drive shaft out. While I'm under here, here is the cat converter. You can see that's actually a new gasket, but it looks terrible. Underneath the cat there's actually rust holes starting to form through the shield, and as you can see, the gasket there's absolutely just shot. It's falling apart and it's leaking. I really want to get a new downpipe, so replace pretty much from the turbo all the way back through, replace the cat here because everything's rusty and crusty and just not working. So Over here we have the center shaft bearings. You can tell they've seen better days. The rubber's all perished and starting to look a bit dodgy. I do have 2 new center shaft bearings, so I did plan on replacing these. I think I'm going to have to pull the whole drive shaft out to get the diff out. I think you might be able to unbolt it here, but since we're replacing the center shaft bearings, I might as well just pull the whole drive shaft anyway. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make some paint marks on the diff and the drive shaft in a couple of spots, just so that I can line everything back up when I put it back together. And yeah, let's get this drive shaft out. Alright, so I think I'm just going to pull the rear subframe out. I got the drive shaft out alright. I haven't pulled it out completely, I've just left it hanging there for now, but I will pull it out completely. So let's get on and try and pull out this subframe. Like it's a job for the breaker bar. So the impact wrench didn't really want to work, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and use the breaker bar to break it off, because I've got a bit more leverage. Oh, easy. Easy, mate. I don't like using impact wrenches all the time, just because I feel like sometimes they're more likely to break a bolt off. Whereas the breaker bar, I feel like that constant bit of tension is better than vibrating the crap out of the car. I'm just going to loose them all off first, make sure I can actually get them undone, and from there I will and then from there we'll loosen the rest of them off properly. And then from there I'll just grab the impact wrench and rattle them out the rest of the way. Oh god. There it goes. Or am I breaking it? That's the question. I could be snapping this bolt. It's a pretty big bolt, so I'll be impressed if I can snap it. I'm not really too worried because it goes into the chassis leg, which we're replacing anyway. Oh no, it's coming. Alrighty, so the last thing I've got to do is I've got to detach the mustache bar from the subframe here. Alright, so now everything is loose, I can just come through here and start getting rid of all the bolts. That noise is horrific. Well, I finally got this bolt out. That was from the subframe over the far side here. Took quite some time because, as you can see, it is super rusted. Anyway, that's going to be media blasted. May even replace this one because I put a lot of torque through that with the breaker bar. So anyway, 2 last bolts into the body, and then these 2 here into the mustache bar, and then this thing is on its way out. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the subframe out, sit it down here and put all the bolts back in the holes where they're supposed to go to make my life a little bit easier later on. Alright, so pretty much everything's out of the back of the car except for the fuel tank now. I do have to drain the fuel tank, there's a little bit left in there, and then I can drop that out and the back of the car will be pretty much clear. So I did want to run through a couple of things I found while pulling things out. First being how shot all the bushes are. So in the mustache bar here, you can see how absolutely destroyed these rubbers are. They're absolutely shot, like that one as well. That one there's completely shot as well. The top of this diff hanger is so rusty. I don't know, it's probably salvageable. I don't know if that'll fit in the sandblasting cabinet, so I might have to get that done by someone else or just buy a separate gun to do it outside. But yeah, that's really hammered. These bushes are all completely cracked. I don't know if you can see that, but these are all cracked all the way around. So diff hanger bushes are stuffed, mustache bar bushes are stuffed, but I do have, so you may recall that I do have full bushings to do all of that stuff already, so that's not so bad. For any of you out there that know a lot about Evos, can you please tell me whether this noise is normal in the rear diff? So if I give this a wiggle here, she's pretty clunky through there. I'm thinking maybe the backlash needs to be reset. I don't know if that's a thing. And then it just, in general, doesn't sound very good. So yeah, that doesn't sound very good. It could just be that all the tolerances are really loose, because let's face it, that's the original diff and it's not being touched. Which is surprising because it goes well. And it's funny because I have the transfer case wind, but I'm starting to wonder if it's the diff. Although it did sound like it was coming from the front of the car. So I guess what I'll do at some stage in the near future is I'll pull the inspection cover off the diff and have a look in there and see if I can see anything in there. But to be honest, I think it's probably just worn. Probably needs a rebuild. Don't really want to do that, but we'll see. So the other thing I wanted to show you was underneath the car. There's a bit more rust than I thought there would be. So let's just have a look and go from there. Right, so as you can see under here, pretty much everything's stripped out except for the fuel tank and the fuel filler neck over there. So now we can get a really good look at all the rust under here. So the only thing I'm really worried about is that bit of rust there, which looks like it's in the floor of the boot. I'm hoping that it's just surface rust and that we can just clean all that off and it'll be fine, because if I have to start replacing that stuff, that's going to get even more tricky. Because at the moment we are replacing this chassis leg, this cross member that goes all the way along, and then we're replacing the chassis leg on that side. So everything all the way around, it's going to be all fresh and new. Looking up on this side, this one's nowhere near as bad as the other side. The floor looks fine in that as well in comparison. So another thing that I said in an earlier video was these brackets here, they bolt on from here and here, and they hold the upper suspension arms. I've bought new ones from Japan, so I'm just going to completely replace those. I could refurb these, I will hold on to them, but at the end of the day, for how cheap they are, I'm just going to replace them and I don't have to worry about it. So there we have it. That is pretty much everything cleared out except for the fuel tank. So I'm probably going to do that tomorrow and make a video pulling the fuel tank out and the interior, and starting to maybe start drilling the spot welds out of the chassis legs. So that's the underneath of the car. A little more rust in some areas than I would have liked. I mean, the dude that sold me this car, he was a car dealer. I asked him specifically through text message and on the phone, is there any rust in the chassis rails? And he said there was no rust. He said there's a little bit of surface rust here and there, but it's in great condition. Well, as you can see, it's incredibly unsafe, it's dangerous, and it's got rust everywhere. So anyway, with that, I am going to make a video probably tomorrow or in the next couple of days, and I will be taking the fuel tank out. I've got to drain it first, and once that fuel tank comes out, I will be up to taking the chassis legs out. For now, I'm going to start cleaning and prepping more parts. I'm not going to film that because it's kind of boring unless you want to see that, which brings me to my next point. Let me know what you want to see. If you want to see, I'm not really going to do tutorial stuff. I feel like you can find that. This is more just about documenting working on cars and documenting how you can fix your own chassis legs in your shed by yourself with reasonable equipment. It's not expensive stuff, it's just stuff that you pick up from your local hardware stores. So yeah, let me know what you want to see. Do you want more time lapses? Do you want music? Do you want no music? Do you want me to talk more? Do you want me to talk less? Let me know, because I enjoy making videos, I enjoy working on cars, and whatever you want to see, just let me know. And with that, make sure you do subscribe, because obviously we are getting stuck into the nitty-gritty of this now. And I'm basically going to Tommy F yeah the back of this car, meaning it's going to be restored to OEM standards, if not better, with everything cleaned, everything zinc plated, and it's going to look unreal. So thank you for watching, and you'll see me in the next video, I guess.